At exactly this time last year, I was going through one of the worst pains I've ever experienced in my life. And the doctors told me that I'd never get better and I'd never be able to eat normally again. And fast forward a year later, I have made a 90% recovery using mind and body techniques. The way that it started is that I threw up at a concert, and the next day I felt like I was going to be sick, and it just never went away. So I had a month of me feeling progressively sicker and sicker. I was packing for university, and I remember trying on some clothes. I looked in the mirror and I could barely stand up. I was stumbling around like a drunk person, and I was really confused because for that whole month that I felt really ill, I was just ignoring it because I wasn't in any pain. And I was thinking to myself, oh, it could be psychological, but I just didn't have enough knowledge at the time about it, so I ignored it. And then one night I was eating my dinner and I took a bite of food, I swallowed it, and my entire throat started burning, and it felt like I was burning from the inside out. And then my neck started burning and it was like moving to my chest area, and I was really confused and I was really scared because it just happened so suddenly and randomly. And for the whole of August 2025, I didn't sleep for a month, I didn't shower for a month, I could only eat super plain food and water. I thought I was going to be in that pain forever. I just didn't want to be on planet Earth anymore. I was very depressed. I genuinely thought I was going to die. At first the doctors ignored me, I'm kind of used to that anyway, and they just kept sending me home. But I think I went to the hospital so many times that they eventually prescribed me amitriptyline, which is for nerve pain. And by the way, I'm someone who doesn't like to take medication. I prefer healing things through a natural way, like through diet. But I didn't have a choice because I was in that much pain. So I took amitriptyline and I was finally able to sleep because it makes you very drowsy. And it did actually reduce the burning pain like on my neck. I still had it in my throat, but it wasn't as bad. But my nausea was still constant, so it was really hard to walk around because I would literally feel like I was going to throw up, and I felt very disoriented all the time. The doctors diagnosed me with silent reflux, which is a form of acid reflux. I had an endoscopy, but it didn't show anything, and the doctor wanted to do surgery on me despite having no evidential proof that I have silent reflux. He also said that I'd never be able to eat normally again if I didn't have the surgery. But my intuition was telling me, I don't need surgery, there's something else going on. I'm gonna ignore what these doctors say and I'm gonna do my own research. One of my followers actually DM'd me about the mind and body approach, so that's how I found out about it, and it was a video of this guy speaking about it, but I didn't believe in it. I didn't do enough research about it at the time, so I did dismiss it. I'm someone who doesn't believe things blindly. I need actual evidential proof that it's true. One of the things that I learned though in the video I was watching is that with mind and body symptoms, they usually dial down a lot if you're very, very distracted. And it wasn't until a few months after I realized if I was extremely distracted, my nausea would decrease a lot. It wouldn't completely go, but it was definitely a lot less. So that made me think, you know what, I'm gonna do a bunch of research into the mind and body approach and let's see if it helps me. I read books like The Way Out by Alan Gordon, Mind Over Back Pain by Dr. Sano, and Unlearn Your Pain by Dr. Howard Schubner. I call this knowledge therapy because when you actually learn about how the pain system works and how fear and attention can make pain signals fire more, you realize that the mind and body approach actually makes the most logical sense with chronic unexplained pain. Also, in Dr. Sana's book, he talked about the type of personality likely to have chronic pain, which is literally who I am as a person: perfectionist, overly ambitious, people pleaser. It's like he described me in this book, and I realized, oh my god, this whole time it's because of my brain. I started doing the somatic tracking that Alan Gordon talks about in his book, where you view your pain in an objective way without fear. So it's teaching your brain to not view your pain as a dangerous thing, which will reduce the pain signals that you get. So if my neck was burning a lot, I would make sure that I was staying calm and I would describe the sensation. So I'd be like, oh, it feels warm. the colour that I assign it is red, it's moving around, because in that way you're just noticing the pain. It's essentially like mindfulness, but for chronic pain. So the pain was actually reducing and the nausea was going down, but it was still there, and I still wasn't eating food because I was absolutely terrified to eat food. I think I was surviving on almond butter sandwiches and protein milk. That's it. I was still way too scared to try food, and I think if you're doing the mind and body approach and you're really scared to do something, you shouldn't just immediately go do it whilst you're scared. Like, you need to take baby steps. So I was thinking, you know what, I'm gonna do a bunch of research on food sensitivities and the mind and body approach and see what other people have done. For a whole month, I was binge listening to a bunch of success stories regarding food sensitivities and nausea online on pain3u.com. And because every day I was doing the research, listening to the success stories, my subconscious brain did genuinely believe that, okay, this is due to my brain and there's actually nothing wrong with me. I can eat food because there's nothing wrong with me. So that's when I started to reintroduce food. I did this very slowly. I couldn't eat chili, so what I did, I literally got like the tiniest speck of chili and put it in my food and just made sure that I ate my food whilst I was distracted, like watching a show. And that's how I'd reintroduce foods, like really slowly. My symptoms did go up, so my nausea got worse when I was eating food, and like the burning flared up again, but I was like, no, trust the process, it's completely fine, I'm fine. I did the somatic tracking as well, and eventually it literally just went away. I was eating normal food, and one day I realized, like, oh my god, I don't feel sick, my neck is not burning, my body actually feels so healthy, and also mentally I felt a lot better as well. The foods that would flare my pain up, I would write it down on a list to make sure that I would eventually have that food, because I didn't want to reinforce to my brain that that food was dangerous. Like, I didn't want to avoid it. So today I would say that I'm about 90% recovered. I get nausea or burning if I'm very stressed out, but it doesn't greatly affect my life because I know what it is. I know it's TMS, mind body, and I know it'll go away. They settle really quickly because I don't feed into the fear cycle. But yeah, learning about the mind and body approach completely changed my life. I'm so much happier and healthier because of it. Even though the experience I went through was really traumatic for me, and I had to also defer my university place, I wouldn't change it for the world. It taught me so much about the human body and how the nervous system and brain works, and the techniques that I've used for my nausea and food sensitivities, I've applied to my chronic dry eye and eye pain. If it wasn't for other people sharing their story about how the approach helped them, I wouldn't have gotten better. So I want to use my knowledge to help other people now. So if you have any questions, feel free to DM me. Also, if you want to know if your chronic pain symptoms are TMS, I have a video on my page where I talk about the criteria for TMS neuroplastic symptoms. I'm wearing green in the video and I have my hair in plaits, but I can always send it to you if you want to DM me.